After yet another disappointing playoff run, which saw the Boston Celtics go to Game 7 against the Philadelphia 76ers, Jayson Tatum make a legacy for himself in the playoffs, and then lose in 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals, Brad Stevens has decided it's time to shake things up as he goes out and lands Kristaps Porzingis and a couple of picks in exchange for Marcus Smart. Now, Marcus Smart, lifelong Celtic, that kind of hurts, especially for the fans of the Celtics. Jaylen Brown also inked a massive extension. We're going to talk about that. But before we get started, make sure to hit the like button and leave me a comment down below, as we're going to be talking about this whole Kristaps Porzingis trade and how it makes this Celtics team almost unstoppable. But real quick, hit that subscribe button. 97% of my audience is not subscribed, so just go hit the subscribe button, turn on the post notifications. This is the place you want to be if you want to hear about the NBA offseason. Now, let this man cook. Brad Stevens was on the phone all day for the last couple of days. Here was the original trade, which was, in my opinion, much better for the Boston Celtics. This really would have made them over the top. Only getting rid of Malcolm Brogdon in exchange for Kristaps, and they throw a couple of picks in there for Washington. However, that trade does not come to fruition, so we end up with this one where the Grizzlies get Marcus Smart, the Wizards get Tyus Jones, Gallinari, Muscala, and the 35th pick. And the Celtics get the 25th pick, which we'll talk about later, a 2024 first-round pick from the Warriors, and then Kristaps Porzingis. A new Big Three has been born in Boston, and oh boy, I mean, you talk about length, height. Kristaps at 7'1"-ish, JT at 6'8", 6'9", and then Jaylen Brown at 6'6", 6'7". That's tough. You see the stats there for Kristaps this year, 22 and 8, and then 50% shooting from the field, almost 40% from three. Very, very efficient from Kristaps. He's going to bring in a new element to this Boston offense. If it's Joe Mazzulla, whoever it is, at the coach position next year, they're going to have a field day. Kristaps also averaged 1.5 blocks per game at 27 years old. So he fits right in on the timeline of the 19-year-old Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Speaking of the 19-year-old, putting up 30 a game with 9 rebounds, he had a breakout season for sure, cementing himself as an NBA star, superstar, whatever you want to call him. 47% from the field, 35% from three. And then, of course, that Game 7 performance we referenced earlier, that cemented his legacy so far as a Boston Celtic, although he still has not won an NBA championship. 4.6 assists per game as well for Tatum this year. And then JB, who just got him a bag, averaged 26.6 points, 6.9 rebounds, and 3.5 assists per game, even though he was outplayed by Caleb Martin in the NBA Eastern Conference Finals. 49% from the field, 34% from three, and 1.1 steals per game for Brown this year. And as I mentioned, just signed a massive 5-year, $295 million extension, which is insanity. The guy that just outplayed him is making like $8 million a year next year. But with this new Big Three, it also brings in a new element of rim protection for the Boston Celtics. Per 36, these two average about 4 blocks per game. Kristaps, not the rim protector he was before his injury, but still a decent enough guy at the rim that he really alters a lot of shots. 7'1", it's hard not to. And then they also have the old man Al Horford coming off the bench, who averaged about a block and a half per game last year. So you bring him in off the bench now, and that really upgrades the lineup as well. But yeah, no loyalty. The NBA is a business. Marcus Smart, 9 years with the team, Boston Celtic through and through, and it's rough. I mean, reading his apology, reading his farewell, kind of hurt a little bit. I'm a Hornets fan. I don't care about the Celtics. So Marcus Smart, it's unfortunate that he had to go, but the NBA is a business at the end of the day. Now you take a look at the guard situation without Smart. It's basically Malcolm Brogdon and Derek White running a two-man show. Derek White, second team all-defense last year, so you do lose the former defensive player of the year. But Derek White, he's no slouch on the defensive side of the ball. 12.4 points per game, 3.6 rebounds, 3.9 assists. He was such a great trade deadline acquisition by the Celtics a couple of years ago. He shot at 46% from the field, 38% from three, and also averaged a block and a steal per game last year for the Celtics coming off the bench. He didn't even start, and he was putting up those numbers on the defensive side of the ball. Now, the NBA Sixth Man of the Year, Malcolm Brogdon, is also a Boston Celtic. He almost was a Los Angeles Clipper, but, some worries about his injury status from the Clippers raised some red flags. Last year, he averaged 15 points, 4 assists, 3.7 rebounds, and he didn't even play, a full workload. 26 minutes per game, 48% from the field, 45% from three. I was thinking maybe they bring in like a Chris Paul, but he's a Warrior now, so that is out of the question. Definitely still some work to do for the Boston Celtics and Brad Stevens. But, like I said, Brad Stevens was busy on draft night. This is what he turned the 25th pick into, 4 second-round picks, and Jordan Walsh. So he was loading up on second-round picks. He's also cleared up, I believe, the TPE, so I think he's, going to have a couple of exceptions. He's going to be making a big-time trade here before long, I feel like. Now, Jordan Walsh does have ideal length and height at 6'7", 205 pounds. He only averaged 7 points and 4 rebounds last year at Arkansas, though. Kind of a head-scratcher here. I mean, there was still, I would have loved to see Maxwell Lewis as a Celtic. Instead, he is a Laker. A couple of other prospects still on the board that I feel like could have been a little better than Jordan Walsh, but Brad Stevens definitely has a bit of a better track record than I do when it comes to the NBA draft. Now, taking a look at the lineup, I mean, this is going to be tough. This is a really, really good starting five. However, the depth is the question mark. But Malcolm Brogdon running the point. He averaged 15 and 4 last year in only 26 minutes a game, like we said. The defense is a bit of a question mark. At the perimeter, or on the perimeter, Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, they're going to have to step up their defense, but 56 points per game combined from them. And maybe they bring in another guy that can start at the point, that can defend at the point of attack, maybe like a Dennis Schroeder. We'll see what happens there. But actually, Dennis Schroeder, now that I think about it, is kind of perfect for this Celtics team. And then you can move Brogdon back to the bench. But I like this starting lineup a lot, especially with the rim protection it brings with KP and Robert Williams in there in the paint. But you've got 3 legit superstars in that starting lineup. Now, the bench, like I said, is the question mark. You've got Derek White and Al Horford. And then after that, what are you going to do with Grant Williams? Does Grant Williams come back? I feel like with this trade, that's basically sealed his fate that he is not going to be a Boston Celtic next year. So you're going to have to find a new backup power forward. Peyton Pritchard probably on the way out. You're going to have to find... You need a lot of point guard depth. Like I said, there's still a lot of work to be done to this Celtics team, which is why I think we saw Brad Stevens loading up, getting 4 more second-round picks than he already had in his arsenal. Sam Hauser, I guess he can be serviceable off the bench at the backup 3. But right now, all you have is Derek White and Al Horford, and Horford's going to be 37 next year. So something to look into is them, really helping this bench out. They don't have much cap space at all, but the wish list for free agency for this team, backup point guard, or, you could get a good defender and a guy that can facilitate and then move Brogdon to the bench. You need wing depth. Sam Hauser as your only wing off the bench is not good at all with Grant Williams leaving, and then just some bench scoring. I mean, Derek White would be the leading scorer off that bench, and that is not good enough. You need a 6-man that can come in and can score the rock, that microwave spark plug off the bench, and you're not getting that right now in whoever they have coming off that bench. So a lot of moves still to be made for the Celtics, but that is why I think they are just that much scarier with Kristaps Porzingis. If they can go out and get some more depth, this is a team that can definitely challenge the Denver Nuggets in the NBA championship. But with that being said, that's going to be it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like button, leave me a comment down below, and hit the subscribe button. And with all that being said, thanks so much for watching today's video.